So obviously for the audience, the segment of consumers that Monster Energy goes after, this associating themselves with this type of event is something that makes sense. And if you go to their website, let me click there, and they actually say that's very straightforward. The type of approach they follow to connect with the consumers they go after. So here in their website, well, they clearly say most companies spend their money on ad agencies, TV commercials, radio show, and billboards to tell you how good their products are. At Monster, we choose none of the above. Instead, we support the scene, our brands, our athletes, and our fans. We back athletes so that they can make a career of their passion. We promote concert tours so our favorite bands can visit your hometown. We celebrate with our fans and riders by throwing parties and making the coolest event we can think of reality, etc., etc. So they clearly say we don't use the conventional advertising to reach the consumers that are interested and who drink our product. So this is an approach that works for them because they associate by uh, they associate the brand elements that they want to connect with extreme sports, for example, in this case, extreme activities, because that's consistent, that's congruent with their brand positioning. What about the assessment? What about assessing the results of sponsorship? Because we have talked before about evaluating and using metrics for traditional advertising, evaluating the effectiveness of sales promotion, as we talked last time. But how do you assess the impact of these activities? Well, one of it is not by looking at the money that you spend, at the budget necessarily, but at the effects that it generates in terms of media impressions here on the left hand side. So if you sponsor an event where your brand is displayed, where you are mentioned, etc., how much, to what extent that event is being mentioned in the conventional media, in the traditional media, in the news, right, in television, in newspaper, that are talking about the event that you sponsor and your brand appears there or your brand is mentioned there, right? So this is not paid advertisement, but instead it's like an indirect effect. You sponsor an event, the media picks up the event and talks about it in TV, in printed media, etc. And they talk about you because you were a sponsor of the event, or they portray you in their videos, in their image on TV and pictures. So the impressions in the media, that's something that you can keep track of, and that's a way of assessing the results of the sponsorship. Second, look at how loyal your customers that attended the event are in terms of their perceptions of your brand. And this is something that can be done by using some research methods that you remember from your intro to marketing class, or maybe from your research marketing class, your marketing research class. Qualitative research, quantitative research. So if you go to these events, you can do surveys, right? You can do a poll and ask the attendees whether they have seen your brand efforts, um, your name in the event, whether that is something that changes their perception. How do they feel about your brand sponsoring the event? Is it something that connects and matches the the activities that are conducted there with the identity and position of the brand? So simply asking questions like in a survey way, in a survey manner, when they exit the event, you can ask, do you remember seeing our brand there or this brand in the event, in the concert, in the sport function? Or use qualitative techniques, right? So that's another approach. It doesn't have to be quantitative like survey based, but you have to ask customers so that you can assess whether that is something, whether what you're doing is something that strengthens their loyalty, whether it enhances and reinforces their loyalty or not. And third, well, how well defined, how well targeted your efforts are being. So you have to ask, are the type of customers that I am targeting, are they the ones that are coming to the event? As I mentioned a few minutes ago, if it's an event that you're sponsoring and you are selling or promoting a product that has a main customer, the target audience is college students, right? Well, is that event being attended by college students? To what percentage? How many of them are going there, etc. So you have some ways to assess the results of sponsorship, which are not the same way that you assess self-promotion, are not necessarily the same way that you assess conventional advertising, although again there is some cross functionality here that you can include some of these other promotional mix tools within the event that you sponsor. There are in exhibit 12.2 a number of recommendations like the checklist. So make sure you pick an event that matches the brand, right? So like we just saw, Monster Energy with some extreme sport or activity like going down the hill in those bicycles, like with all that vertigo, the speed, and well, it's exciting, right? For people who like that. Pick an event that draws your target audience, not a big audience, but the right audience, and that's something we just talked about. Deliver a few key messages and repeat them often. What is what you want to tell your target markets there? What is the message you have to say, right? Yeah, it's useful maybe just to be there, to be present, but it's better if you have something to tell them. If you are spending money, your budget for being there, you better want to use that moment for saying something meaningful. Develop your event participation in terms of a plot of story with a beginning, middle, and end. So there is a narrative why you are there and how that fits the whole event. Make participation exclusive by issuing invitations to a select group. Sometimes that's something you can do, right? Like this is an exclusive event, upscale maybe, not for everyone. So I am giving the privilege to some loyal customers, to some repetitive clients that you have, right? So you make them feel special. And remember, this generates word of mouth and buzz. Make participation relevant to your target group. It's not only about selling, but it has to be meaningful to them. Use internet to promote your event and share your story with those who couldn't be there. Like we just saw this video on YouTube posted on the Monster Energy YouTube account. So you are using social media, you're using videos to tell others what happened, what went on there. And integrate your event sponsorship with your other brand communication. So don't just isolate and use this tool in isolation to other efforts you can do, right? You complement with traditional conventional advertising, with radio, right? Like you have musical events and bands, and you use, of course, radio. You use social media. So remember, it's integrated marketing communication, and be creative. Use all tools that are in your reach, right? Like for instance, if you are going to target Hispanic consumers who like or listen to regional Mexican music, right? Like concerts here in South Texas. Well, you use all the opportunities to put your logo, to put your name there, your brand name, like even in the tickets, right? That the attendees will use to go into this stadium or into the venue where the concert will take place. So use all resources in the reach of your hand to have presence and be visible to consumers. We move now we move on to product placements. Product placement is the practice of placing any branded product into the content and execution of an established entertainment vehicle. So here, as we saw at the beginning of the chapter here, you increase the level of engagement and pervasiveness. You use an established vehicle like a television show, like in sports, like a movie, right? Video games. So you place your product in a way that is part of the story, is part of the plot. So here, well, in this image on the slide, you may recall Tom Hanks in Castaway, this movie that was very popular back in the 90s. And that was one of the first examples that we saw of a very visible, prominent placement of a commercial brand like FedEx. So and it worked because people remember that. And by the way, that's mentioned in the video that I recommend, the segment for the persuaders, the PBS program that I recommend you to watch. If you haven't done so, well, when you do that, you will see that example there. And it may become so meaningful, so connected and relevant to the public that you have examples like another movie, by the way, by Tom Hanks, starring Tom Hanks, Forrest Gump, right? Well, you had a fictional brand, a fictional product in that movie, which was Bubba Gump. And Bubba Gump, which initially was part of the fictional story, it became a spin-off of that movie, which was also very popular. And the movie company, the film company, they actually launched, I think they had the rights of the movie, right? So they launched a chain of restaurants inspired in the product that was portrayed in the story. So again, this is like the other way around, the opposite effect. Not a real product going into a movie, but the movie itself, which is a product at the end, right? At the end, the movie Forrest Gump is a product, it's a commercial product, and from them you use it the other way around to generate a business model based on that idea. We see that in more recent examples, like Stranger Things character. She uses this skateboard, the Madrid skateboard, and then after the popularity of the series, then Madrid skateboard decided to launch a version of the skateboard based on Stranger Things. So again, these are these instances of spin-off products. And this takes us to the next tool of the promotional mix for this chapter, branded entertainment. What branded entertainment does is to develop and or support any entertainment property, maybe TV show, maybe theme parks, maybe films and movies, maybe video games, where a primary objective is to feature one's brand. This is not like the product placement where you have an established show, an established movie already going on, planned and is already there, and then you play your product. No, here the level of pervasiveness and engagement of the brand is complete, because the reason for the actual entertainment is the marketer's brand, right? So you feature one brand to connect with consumers, but it's not just fitting your brand into an existing channel or vehicle. So the entertainment would not exist without the marketer's support. The whole reason, the very reason for the entertainment is the product that you are promoting, right? Like we see this in sports, right? For example, the Minute Maid Stadium in Houston, where the Astros play. Well, the whole the stadium where they play is actually a product or a name. It holds a name of Minute Maid in this case, and we have seen this in other sports, in other stadiums. So here, the centrality of the brand is of course much higher. Walt Disney World in Orlando, right? The whole experience is a tourism destination by itself. Walt Disney World is the reason, many will say, to go to Orlando, Florida. And it's all around Disney characters and stories and movies, right? And then you had other theme parks and Universal Studios and others that have jumped into the wagon, but that is entertainment based on the brand Disney. You have NASCAR cars, example, the races, reality shows, virtual sports, which is a phenomenon that now you have some cases like this article in the Wall Street Journal that I included here, the link. And if you go into this, I'm not gonna play all of the video here, but basically you have video games competitions, right? So you have people who like video games and they are good in playing video games and they compete against others, but then you have an audience of people who goes and watches the video games competition and they pay to be there, and there are sponsors, just like if it was a real sport. That's just amazing, right? I'm gonna stop here. I'm not gonna have you watch all of the video, but just to show how these phenomena are relatively new, these are going on there. So some of these video game players are like athletes, or it would be compared to some um, sport players in traditional sports, and they get paid for it, and they are kind of celebrities. So these are opportunities where brands and companies can jump on it in order to take advantage of these new trends for certain consumers. Of course, you may say, well, personally, I would never go and pay for see other people playing video games, but one more time, remember that there is a diversity of consumers and different interests, personalities, motivations. So if there is a target audience, if there is a group of consumers that you can serve, and you can use those options to get your message across, well, that's something you can consider. Sometimes the branded entertainment is not the whole event, the whole entertainment uh, itself, but you use part of, you participate in that event in a smaller scale, right? So for example, in the halftime of the Super Bowl, or in other sports like baseball, you have some branded entertainment activity that is not the whole baseball game, but you are using part of it to create a piece of entertainment, a moment of entertainment, just like this Emirates airline effort in Los Angeles happened not long ago. So again, they use this form of smaller scale branded entertainment, and I say smaller scale because it's part of the baseball game, not the whole game that is based on this product. But it's not small scale in terms of the reach and the audience. If you see, for instance, this the number of views by this of this video is almost 7 million views, right? So this is reaching 7 million potential consumers, potential users, and again, this generates some effects that are not necessarily achieved through other channels. If you go to your Cengage platform, those of you who have access to CourseMate for this textbook that we are using this semester, you can go and see a couple of examples there of the videos which show sponsorship and a combination of virtual reality, for example, in the case of the BMW rosters. There is another example there. I'm gonna play it, but it has to do with a contest, right? That Stella Artois launched, and again, this talks about the connection that you can do, or the combination and the way you can complement branded entertainment with sales promotion, right? Which we talk about in chapter 11. So if you go to the Cengage CourseMate platform, make sure to go to the chapter 12 content, and then you click where it says videos with assessment. Don't worry about the assessment. These are just quizzes for auto practice. But then you have this example I was talking about, this video about a campaign that was launched by Stella Artois about a story, a narrative. This was a contest where they were asking viewers to participate and to enroll and register for the contest through their website. And there is a narrative, there is a story. They are looking for someone to go on a trip, all paid trip to the Cannes Film Festival. But I want to show you the other video, the one about BMW, and how they utilize, or they developed a software so that the public could download it on their computers and use it as an entertainment, similar to a graphic design tool that you could use and play and spend time, and then share it, your virtual reality creation, share it on social media. Let's see how it goes. So as you could see, this allowed users to download a 3D software and play and create their design through virtual reality, save the file, and then share it on social media, on Facebook. One more time, this is a way of engaging your customers, your your market of consumers, in a way that is different to just listening or watching a commercial on TV or watching a billboard. What are the challenges of branded entertainment? Well, you have oversaturation, so especially in the last few years when branded entertainment and these other tools we cover today become popular and everybody wants to jump on the one bandwagon. So if you start using it in excess and all companies do the same, then the viewers, the audiences will become immune, and they will this effort will not be as effective as at the beginning. So that's always a risk that can be faced. Second, conflicts with entertainment media. Specifically, if we talk about product placement and brand entertainment, well, you have then the interest of the manufacturer or the marketer, the company that is interested in advertising, and the entertainment company, the movie film company, the television network, whoever is producing the entertainment content, and you, well, may have, there could be frictions and difficulties that need to be overcome. These conflicts sometimes happen, and of course, need to manage in a way that um, that your objectives are accomplished successfully. Both parties' objectives, of course, not only yours, but it should be a win-win situation. The movie producers, the film company should benefit from having your product placed in the entertainment venue, and you will benefit also from having your product in that entertainment channel. Unpredictability. What do we mean by this? Well, conventional media, other advertising tools that have been utilized for decades, for many years, television, radio, um, newspapers, and magazines. There are ways to measure or assess the results, not necessarily accurately, but you have certain predictability on what you can expect from certain channels, from certain promotional tool mix. You know that certain tools are more efficient than others, but in the case of branded entertainment, in the case of product placement, well, it's not easy to predict what to expect. These are fields or activities for which there is still recency in the experiences that marketers have. So still is a field that we have lots to discover. It's being used. It's being you have bigger, greater budget amounts going into that, but still is not a mature channel or a mature promotional tool. And from the side of consumers, there is a greater claim or demand for disclosure, precisely because what we try to do by doing product placements or branded entertainment is to have a seamless message, an integration of brand and product into a story, into a narrative in a natural way. Sometimes consumers will not tell clearly, it's not going to be evident that this is a branded entertainment piece, that this is a product placement. So there is a call for full disclosure in terms of letting customers, letting the viewers, letting the audience know that there is an economic interest, an exchange between the marketer and the producer of the content, so that it is not something that can be used for unethical manipulation or influence. So these are, of course, concerns that still we'll see how will be addressed by the industry. What we should not forget is that the efforts that we conduct in including these tools should be integrated into the greater marketing effort, into the greater positioning and communication activities that we are implementing as part of the marketing plan. So let's finish here chapter 12. This is something that you have to prepare for your quizzes, right? And don't forget to watch the video or the segment for the persuaders program that you have in the first slides of this PowerPoint.